Lovely stuff. That's what you expect to see from the German.
Yeah, makes it very easy. I think he's strong enough to do a back 3.5. Anyway, going with the easier back 2.5 at 3-0. Face close to the leg on the pike. Always in control. Could have reached back just a fraction more on the end, but he'll take that. Previous dive scored 72. He's just slightly down on that, I think because of the entry.
Good solid starts, though, for everybody so far. Christian Ibsen, same dive for the 20-year-old American. Had issues with Troy DeMay since the Olympics, and so consequently those two not diving synchro anymore, so very much a focus on the individual side of things for Christian. And that'll do nicely as a starter.
Yeah, should hit 70 points on that, because the technique's so good. The spin is easy, spots well, above the board coming out, that's good. He has that feel for the water. There's the flat hand entry. Once again, we'll see a lot of that going through the semi-finals. Good toe point all the way through to the end.
Good start from him, and looking to progress. Jorik de Bruin, he is the diver that surprised us just a touch, but a fantastic third round twister from Jorik. Absolutely nailed qualification. Freitag in the background watching on, his Dutch teammate. Same divers we've seen from Paparunis, Housding and Ibsen. Next up, Grant now. Pulled 2.5 somersaults with the 2 twists, and 25-year-old Australian produced it when he needed it. Excellent final couple of rounds for Grant. Nice start, just fell out of that one a little bit, came up short, but good solid start from the Australian.
I did actually think he was sitting back here because he stamped the board, but he threw very fast, out at the right time, easy double twist there, and locks out on the end. He just missed 80 points in the prelims. This was just as good though.
There we go, 81.60. Excellent start. Chinkai. A lot better than he was. It's a huge dive, isn't it? There's so much dive to get round, but he does. A little bit splashy on the entry.
Oh, it's a good dive though. He just keeps going up, that push down, and it's a very good feeling for him. He feels fast, he feels high, pikes out, looks, and locks out on the end.
Yeah, 76.50. He matches Chinkai. At a 0.4 higher degree of difficulty, so just a little supported by the tariff. Sho Sakai was our recovery of the century in the prelim competition. The Japanese diver was absolutely done and dusted and then came back with 3 phenomenal rounds.
Can you believe he came back from 41st place?
Again, similar to the problem he had in the prelims, the entry was very good, height was good, but that flutter of the legs was very obvious.
You need to be pushing the feet together as soon as he comes off the board. And I think he's thinking just about the somersault regarding the rest of the body. He's just thinking, oh, need to get around. But you have to get your feet together, lock your knees out. Or big separation there between the heels.
72.60 though. Still a good start from Sakai. 12, remember, is where you need to be for a place in the final. And with 3.5 somersaults then from Chong. Same dive as we saw from Yevgeny Kuznetsov, and the 26-year-old man, a Chinese former world champion, sorry, defending his title here, looking for 3. The last 3 in a row to equal the best performance ever at the World Championship. And that was a little bit splashy from Chong, and that's been the problem, hasn't it, Chris? You've commented several times he's not looking anywhere near as sharp as we've seen him.
Yeah, and some things put him off, because he did, in the first round, or in the prelims, he used a back 2.5. He's now changed to start with the inward, and it's not worked. Flew over on the end, 64 points.
Yeah, good spot, Chris. So not good start for John. Castillo led for much of the prelim competition till Jack Law overhauled him towards the final stages. Well, I'll tell you what, yeah, Castillo looks in unbelievable form.
He defies gravity, doesn't he? Now, we've talked about the others going very high. Look, that's the 5 metre. He's now up above the 5 metre, does the double twist, floats around. This was the highest scoring dive in the prelims with 85 points in the first round. Good position there, coming around. The arms in front of the body. Sometimes you put one arm behind the back of your head. We scored slightly less than the prelim.
Oh, 81.60, remember that, because Jack Law, who dives last, the British diver who won the prelim competition, he'll do the same dive. Ilana of Spain and Feck of Germany will do the same dive back to back. It's absolutely fine for Javier Lana. That will keep the home fans happy.
He's getting his lowest degree of difficulty out of the way. Gets that whippy start, feels fast, could have the knees a little more locked out on the pike. Reach back is fine though, gets a knee save on the end to stop it going over. So form off just on the pike, but the rest of the dive is good.
72, good solid score. Takes a few rounds for the separation in the marks to really kick in. Stefan Feck, same dive as we've just seen from the Spanish number 1. Just let that wash over a touch to the German.
Yeah, caused by that was just the arch coming out. Good start, reaches back, pulls forward, knees reasonably locked out. But there, a little arch in the back, if he was just flatter with the back, it would have stopped the dive completely.
Still fine, though, for Stefan. Top 2 now, the crusher of Ukraine. And let's talk about this man's prowess on the 1 metre springboard. You know, what an amazing competitor he is up on 3 metres, but he just seems to have found that little bit more maturity on this board, in with 3.5 to start. It's okay.
Yeah, he's fading away from the ball just a fraction. Just here, Just feels the movement going back, away. Not a lot, but just enough to drop the dive just a hair short of vertical.
74.80 though is absolutely fine on target for Crusher. Top boys would like to qualify in a strong position. And still just 18 years of age. The man from Harrogate in the north of England, Jack Law, looked in superb form in the prelim competition, and along with Castillo was flying into the sky. That same dive as we saw from the Mexican, and a very similar dive overall.
There's AD, his coach. Good throw, out, one twist, two twists, very straight there. Like the arm position coming out of the twist, sights the water high up. AD's pleased with that.
Yeah, 79.89, so not quite as good as Castillo. Tiny flutter of the feet as he came out, but that was all. And a very high quality start, which at the moment Gorge Kovasov leads. All scores are eradicated from the previous round. You start with a clean slate once again. Chikai still struggling for a bit of form, but it's all about what happens around 11, 12, 13. At the moment, Javier Lana, Christian Ibsen and Stefanos Paparounis share that final place. Well, we had drama in the prelims, and it looks like we're heading for more drama now in the semi-finals of the men's individual 3-metre springboard. Konstantin Blaha just making sure he sets the board exactly right. 8th position at the moment, some big names not in the top 12. And very tidy diving from the Austrian.
Yeah, I just look, I can see that all the divers have settled down. Many of them were missing their hurdle steps in the prelims. Good board, just off angle to the board, but the judges won't pick that up. Good second dive.
Oh, wonderful second dive. That is right up there. Slight change to his dive list coming into this World Championships from Blaha. And that will certainly support his cause. Kovasov leading. First of the big ones. Forward 4.5 then at 3.8 on the tariff. Oh, he's unlucky there. Got a lot of height, got that spinning well.
Yeah, that's the first front 4.5 that he did. It's a 3.5 in the prelim, so he's changed his list to do the 4.5. Just running out of room. Needed a faster throw at the beginning just to get it moving a little faster. And not quite fully finishing the out.
We see a few more of those during the course of this semi-final. 72.20 for Gorge Kovasov. He's going to struggle to hang on to top spot after that. And the man who's probably carrying the most pressure coming into this semi-final, Zakharov, the reigning Olympic champion. Cannot watch. He missed so many dives in the prelims. And he's missed again.
He just keeps pulling over. He pulled way over and just got 4.5s in the earlier competition. Up high, squeezing, should be seeing the board now. He's kicked too late. The feet kicked up above the board, not at the board, and then it went over. Would have thought he'd learned from his mistake from the previous prelims.
So Zakharov still having problems, and that's a tough score to recover from in this semi.
The more you share experiences, the greater they become.
Live the World Swimming Championships with EDF, proud partner of swimming.
Welcome back. Really enjoying ourselves Here in Barcelona today. We've had terrific conditions all week for the diving, but we've had some terrific competitions as well. Cesar dived all the way on the break, and it was a good dive, so still in contention, the Brazilian. Paparounis completing a dive we're going to see a lot of in this second round, but he's done that very well indeed.
Yeah, 3.5 somersaults, throws well, knees are well locked out, hardly any gap between the face and the shin, spinning around. Just not quite getting the feel on the hands, going through the water, a little bit of splash.
Yeah, 75.95. Almost feels, Chris, though, that 75 marks isn't enough in this sort of company. You have to be really careful.
420 is my prediction. I think if he goes through on 75, should make top 12.
Helsting outside the top 12 at the moment. It's a little laboured, that dive. He's got it round, it's fine. But I think it's going to be quite tight for Helsting and Feck to get through.
Now, again, a very high pike. That was a 3 metre we saw as he was coming out, so it was about 3.5 metres above the water, checking out. And so he sights the water from so far up, he was always going to nail his entry.
He's got to be there with those marks just to cover any potential errors. 4.3.5 then for Christian Ibsen, who's down there on that bubble. Quite a few names after round one. Same dive. Looked nice, just didn't quite get the entry.
It's hard to see it, but he did land back on his heels and then gets the quick throw. You can see he's just struggled slightly at the beginning because the knees weren't locked out on the pike. But he finishes off the dive well. That normally happens on a first or second round when you're still feeling slightly anxious.
72.85. Probably will keep him around a similar position, depending, of course, what those around him do. 18th and last spot at the moment for Jorik de Bruin. Needs to cash in on the dives that he did so beautifully in the prelims. Toes over, so he never got the height that he needed, but he's done well to at least finish that dive.
Yeah, coming down from the top of the hurdle step, he could see that his foot was going to go over the end. Good job the judges don't see that angle, otherwise his scores would be very, very low.
Let's see. That's De Bruin leg shape. 69.75. That will not allow him to claw back any ground on the opposition. Right now, solid start. The 25-year-old. 2.5 somersaults in the second round. Starts with a high tariff, then drops it down to this one at 3.0, but then it gets pretty high as he moves through the programme. That'll do, but too far away from the board, really.
Yeah, we've seen some very good back 2.5s, and the judges who have this to compare with, they'll see the lean back, slow going into the pike. Good pike position there, but then you have to arch your back, pull the dive around, as it's finishing a little low.
Australian team cheerleading, but they can only drive the judges up to 67.50, which in the prelims was fine. In this semi-final, it will not be. So Chikai, 2.5 with 2 twists. And for whatever reason, the synchro gold medalists are not looking too comfortable at the moment in Barcelona individually. Twister then. Well, he really attacked that one, didn't he? And this time made absolutely sure of the entry into the water.
Yeah, good entry. Stamps the board here. We could hear it as he landed. Then the air, he's out at the right time. There's the double twist. Sights the water. Locks out. Again, he's not looking as tight and as strong as he was at the Olympic Games where he got that silver medal.
81.60, that's much more like it. Chikai, but some concern on his face still. Evgeny Kuznetsov always looks worried, but we know what a quality performer he is. Outdived the Olympic champion at the Universiade. He's outdived him again today, his teammate, Zakharov.
So this is the harder back 3.5 somersaults.
Oh dear, what a shame.
Well, spun so fast. This is the important swing through. That initiates the somersault. Now the squeeze in. Squeeze more to accelerate. Kick. Having to put that knee save on the end. High degree of difficulty. Just short of 80 points.
Supports the marks. That's absolutely fine in terms of qualification for Kuznetsov, but in terms of medal aspirations, doesn't really do the job. Shosake. Quite incredible recovery. Can he do it again in the semi-finals? 10th place at the moment, so he's inside that top 12. Can't really get the height, but he's certainly got the entry.
But this dive, you just notice his feet all the way around. Should be very pointed. And then the feet, something wrong going on there, apart, gets them together, then misses his entry. And definitely lost the entry there.
Coach's face telling the story. Coaches in the stands will just be up there and reacting, but the personal coach of the athlete down there in the mix zone, they tend to react in a far more truthful manner, as it were. Chong, 26 years of age now, the two-time world champion. Looking to equal Phil Boggs' 3 gold medals for the USA. There's nothing particularly convincing about what He Chong is doing at the moment.
Yeah, the judges like to see difficult dives done easy, but very jerky, hard movements. So he's making the dive look hard. Should go high 70s or low 80s. He went 81.6 in the prelim. There's the twist position. That is good.
But they were tough on entries in the prelims. Well, he's got into the 80s again. So He Chong going along perfectly well. Castillo, good score from him in the first round with that very high twister. Dived beautifully pretty much through the whole programme in this morning's prelim. What a miss. Well, that's tough, and with the forward 4.5 that he had a problem with this morning coming, that could be an issue for Castillo.
Yeah, he's off balance here and starting to move back. He feels slow, so in compensation for that, he holds onto the tuck too long, misses the spot, and completely rides the diver over.
40.80. Might not be able to recover from that. Shows you, doesn't it, how easy it is to fall from favour. Milana forward 3.5 for the Spaniard. All that experience, making sure that Javi gets it right when he needs it.
Yeah, very sharp out. Straight arms, good throw. Reasonable pike. Pike's better there. Look at the water. Just lines up in front of his face slightly.
He's a later developer, isn't he, where the pike's concerned. Eventually got it right for 74.40. Same dive will now be performed by 23-year-old German Stefan Feck. 14th place at the moment. Both he and Housding were outside the top 12.
Back.
Well, he's done well to get the entry there because he was a long way back on the board.
A very short hurdle step. He walks to the end of the board, then steps back, but he managed to get the drive up in the air. Good pike position, looks at the water, punches, and salvages a good dive off a poor takeoff.
Nearly 80 marks. It's really well done, and that's what you need to do in springboard diving. Crusher then with the twister in the second round. Does one in the second round, then does another in the final round. At 3.3 this one, the next one at 3.4.
This here reverse twister.
Pretty good from Crusher, but not quite what we saw from him this morning.
Yeah, there was a mistake here. As he reaches back, does his twist. Now we see him pull his head down and he loses sight of the water right there. Suddenly he has a look and thinks, oh, I should be out.
Not the only one thinking that either. Coach happy that 7920, so Leo will be more than happy with that. Excuse me. It's the excitement getting to all of us. Jack Law then. 3.5 for this reverse 3.5. Fourth position at the moment, but gradually came through the field this morning to finish first. No, a long way from the board, and that's a miss from Jack Law. That could be trouble.
Yeah, coming down on the end of the diving board, he was leaning forward, tries to get the dive back, but his hips are going forward. This is killing his spin, and he kicks out as normal. He needs to kick up in the air to compensate for the slow spin and the moving forward.
The only positive in that is that he's made it into the 50s, but like Castillo, there needs to be some work to do, and that's the first dive he's missed today. Jack Law, and look how much it's costed him. So Chin Kai goes back to where we expect him to be. Konstantin Blaha still diving beautifully for Austria. He's in second, but here's the business end of the situation for this semi-final. He Chong just inside the top 12. Christian Ipsen on the bubble, and Jack Law all of a sudden out of the mix. Castillo in last. What a difference a round makes. It can be very cruel at the top level. You can dive beautifully all day, miss one and miss out on a final, and that could happen to a couple of the big names in this semi. Konstantin Blaha then for Austria to get things underway in round 3. And he's missed one. Wow. Not a shocker, but it's going to be marked down.
That's right, that's a real miss there. Changed his order around as well. Would have been doing an inward in round 3. Well, missed sight to the water. You're spinning so fast, you have to react quickly, you have to anticipate that triple. He didn't do that. Poor entry, 68 points.
Yeah, 68 is an acceptable miss. That's something that you can cover. Pushkov's off, back 2.5. Very smooth so far from 22-year-old number 2 Ukraine springboard diver. Worked the board very hard, but just came up short.
His coach indicating that he missed his hands. There's the jump. Just a little slow going into the pipe, but what a pipe. Fantastic there. Yeah, the hands need to reach back a bit further.
And 64.50. Just drifting a little in the third round. And second off then. 4.5 on this, then he goes 3.4, 3.9, 3.8. I mean, it really is a superb dive list, but only if he hits the dives. Oh, goodness me, well, we're all holding our breath at the moment when he's in the air, Chris.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lottery for his diving. Couldn't believe he's back in 17th place. Well, the kick, it's a bit of a scramble. He's kicking, hoping he's in the right place. His body's loose, so when he reaches back, the body just keeps moving on the entry.
Lucky?
because I never give up. Gifted because I don't take shortcuts. Focused because I see past the finish line. Fastest because speed is my competition. Legend because I'm one step ahead.
The Samsung Smart Camera NX300. Fast shutter speed meets hybrid autofocus. Shoot fast, share faster.
Welcome back. A miss for Cesar Castro of Brazil. That'll put him under pressure as well. And the same twisting dive that we've just seen from Brazil now to be performed by Paparounis of Greece. Not the same high standard, it has to be said, that we saw in the prelims this morning. It can be just as exciting, waiting for someone to really nail a dive.
I remember it hotting up around 3 or 4.
Paparounis also getting thrown forward, but he got control of the dive and then very gently into the water.
You can really see it makes a difference to the height. Just about 5 meters in height. We've seen others go as far up as 6.5 meters. Not quite getting his hands together on the entry. I'll be pleased with the 79.
Yeah, brilliant score from Paparounis. So Greece still heading towards the final. Toughest twister and toughest dive that we see in the competition at 3.9. Forward 2.5 with the 3 twists. That's a hell of a dive off a 3-meter springboard.
Just didn't quite get it in the prelims. 74 points there. Is it back again?
Just didn't have the space to work, and he's rolled it right over on his back.
Well, that was even worse entry because of the takeoff. Here we see him do the hurdle step. He's right back on the end of the diving board, and now he hasn't got the height nor the speed of the throw to have time to complete that triple twist. 3.9 degree of difficulty. You need a perfect landing to even have a chance of making that dive.
50.70. Housding's work is by no means over. Just flexing that troublesome back of his as well. It's a good sign. So old American Christian Ipsen on the bubble at 12. 3.5. No, a big miss as well for Christian.
We saw lots of misses in the women's platform competition, and I thought maybe because it was later in the day there was more of the shadow across the top of the water, but this water you can see is clear, it's aerated, it's moving around. You're seeing the surface and not the bottom, but still he missed that entry when he should have nailed it.
37.40. With a lot of work to make top 12. Jorik de Bruin, not a great start from him, but gradually clawing his way back. But this, Chris, this is the dive that set the competition alight, really, in the prelims.
He went 86 points. He went from 28th place to 9th with this dive.
Not as good, I'm afraid, in this semi-final. He really did need that dive.
Yeah, he started to creep over the end of the board, and then he used his shoulders to pull the dive back. It's created too much rotation now, and as soon as he pikes down, the feet fly over the top of his head, and he can't hold the entry. That was such a shame. It was such a fantastic dive in the prelims, but he couldn't replicate it.
69.70. Again, it's not out of it for Jorik de Bruin. 3 dives performed by Nel, Chin and Kuznetsov the same now. So it'll be a good opportunity to compare and contrast. Well, it looked laboured, it didn't look easy, but he at least completed it.
Yeah, but he's going to score at least 15 or 20 points more than he did in the prelims. Big miss in the prelims. At least he's given himself half a chance because of the jump. Kicks in the right place because he's finishing low. I think he'll be pleased This was a dodgy dive for him. Well, he's even squeaked 70 points out of it.
Yes, I'll take that, no doubt. Same dive for Jin Kai. It was at this point that he started missing earlier today. And he did have some horrible misses. It's a little bit better.
Yeah, easy dive. Whereas before, the Australian was really laboured on his reverse 3.5. Jin Kai here, so high, easy. You're just seeing those feet move around. Used to work some more on body tension. Couldn't tell the change that.
Doesn't look like he could work any harder on body tension. Jin Kai in unbelievable physical shape. 73.50 for the 27-year-old former world champion. I think Kuznetsov just hasn't looked in the zone, and neither has Zakharov. Same dive that we've just seen from Jin Kai. Real chance to show the judges here. Show them how it should be done. That's by far the better of the entries.
Yeah, should get in 80s. The height was good. Well, the timing is right there. Very high, kicks well, reaches back, gets that feel on the hand, and you can see the squeeze of the ears. He's trying really hard. He knows he's in the right place. That's a good feeling, that entry.
90.50. Good stuff from Evgeny Kuznetsov. That temporarily puts him to top spot. Remember, we're looking at around about 420 to make that top 12. So Sakai not far off the pace. You just see when the diver lands back from the board how flat it all becomes, and that was the problem for him there.
The art of springboard diving is to not expect a good takeoff and know how to take off a bad takeoff. Very rarely, especially in a competition, is it going to be all so perfect. A little untidy with the legs, could lock those knees out. Arms are in the wrong position there to line up, so when he lines up, that'll cause the kick over on the end.
Sub 70 marks. You said you've got to be into the 70s really on a consistent basis. But again, a lot of mistakes being made, a lot of misses. So there is room for manoeuvre. Ho Chong with his third round dive.
I wouldn't think they'd be in the 11th place at this point, would you?
Except all the way through the prelims, we kept seeing some unbelievable situations. And look at that. That's the way to vanish on a dive.
Now, he nearly got 90 points on this dive in the prelim. I just don't think he'll get it because of the entry. It was so high. The highest reverse 3.5 we've seen. Oh, it's exactly the same score that he got earlier this morning.
Consistency from the reigning world champion. Well, this is a big dive in more ways than one for Yahel Castillo. He really has to nail this forward 4.5. If he doesn't, his competition might be over. Oh, what a way to deal with the pressure.
Yeah, remember, he did the restart in the prelims. 2 points deducted from all the judges. Much better takeoff. Just a little low finishing. There's a 3 metre. Finishes underneath it. But a quick reaction on the out has got him his vertical entry. There's the squeeze, trying to increase the rotation going around. All the effort put into that tuck.
Oh, yes, 91.20. Castillo is back in business. Fantastic welcome for Vilana to the board. Almost boy band stuff going on in the crowd. Oh, and he was just short, just never got that lined up.
Yeah, 2 problems there. First, he's out too early into the twist. He throws here, and then just out a little early, but not enough dig here on the end to get the legs back up. Need a deeper pike, and the legs would have come up to the vertical position. Because he didn't do that. He's left it very short indeed on that entry.
Does that convert to the scoreboard? Well, 64-60, 10 points off where he needs to be. Same dive now from Stefan Feck. Finish at the moment for Stefan.
Uh-oh.
We heard from Monaco commentator Chris Snowd. Uh-oh. That can only mean one thing. The dive isn't going to happen.
No, the arms are dropping. He's going over the end. He can't push with his toes. He's slow in his spin. He knows that the twist is going to die on the end. He can't do anything. Perhaps a little scoop will pull the feet up. But he's lost it right from the start.
56-10. Will be a problem as well. So we're seeing more problems than positives at the moment in this semi-final. Russia comfortable in 5th place. 25-year-old needs to consolidate. Flying away from the end of the board, and I think as much distance as we saw from Jack Law.
It's not going right for him at all, is it? Again, toes right over the end of the board, going forward. The height isn't there. He's squeezing as long as possible, and not even the arch at the back can pull the dive around. It's near impossible to make a reverse 3.5 if you haven't got your toes fully on the board.
47.25. Law, just like Castillo, has to find a dive that will help him recover the situation. All went wrong in the last round. Just a little breeze fluttering around now. Again he's away from the board, again he's missed. And the man that was on fire in the prelim competition is struggling to maintain that here in the semi-final.
Yeah, it's all a mental thing here. He was diving so well in the prelim. He missed that last dive. It was a reverse 3.5. Now he's trying too hard, digging over the diving board, pushing back and losing it on the entry. Just needs to settle down, relax a bit more, and then he's got a chance to come back.
2 bad rounds, but he does have the degree of difficulty to get himself back in this competition, because Netsov has taken over in top spot. That's more like it from him. And Hejong and Qingkai look to have recovered their composure as well in 2nd and 3rd for China. As we move down through the list, well, Fasher right on the bubble at 12. Once again, the big names having a tough time of it out there. Castro for the first time today outside the top 12, but Zakharov not there. Law down in 18th position. Greg Louganis in the crowd, one of the legends of the sport. Who's that he's with?
Looks like a younger Snowd.
Louganis watching on here in Barcelona. I was there with a comment or two about the modern diving, but when you've written the rule book yourself, then that's fair enough, I guess.
Talking about Greg Louganis, he won 4 or 5 world titles, I believe, and 4 Olympic golds. And when he was younger, at 16, got Olympic silver. And if he had gone to, if they hadn't boycotted the Olympics in 80, we reckon he would have got another 2 golds. So he could have ended up with 6 golds. And there was no synchronized diving back then either.
No, he'd have cashed in with more as well. Some of the legends of the sport. We've had Dmitry Sotin as well, another legend. He's been around and watching the Russian divers. I wonder what his thought process would be with regard to what's happening to Zakharov at the moment. Got a rough idea what he'd say to him, but we can't repeat that on air. He's a tough character. Now, change of judges. Looks like someone's late for class.
I think he went over to the wrong side. Now on the right side.
All sorted now, but unfortunately for Konstantin Blaha, just a little pause before he can get round 4 underway. easy when you get these delays, but the more experienced divers know what it's all about. And the point is, you don't react to it, you just let it all happen around you, and then when you're ready to start your process ahead of the dive, you start it.
Yeah, he's fine, he's in a good position, he's diving well.
Round 4 about to get underway in Barcelona for the men's individual 3-metre springboard semi-final. Konstantin Blahar, so far so good. Good competition for him, but Jack Law and Ilya Zakharov, Great Britain and Russia, outside the top 12. And he's diving very well today. And you can't exactly say he's diving within himself, because, Chris, he's definitely upped his degree of difficulty.
He certainly has. 2 years ago we saw him with much lower degree of difficulty. He missed out on the semi-finals, finishing 19th. He's come back stronger, better form. You can see he's definitely been working out well, and actually I think he's mentally stronger too.
Yeah, 72 marks confirms that his challenge is still very buoyant. Koshkovazov actually outdiving his senior partner in Ilya Kvasha. Ukraine at the moment looking good for 2 men in the final. And that's a miss by Koshkovazov's standards. Hopefully, though, from his point of view, it won't hurt him too badly on the marks.
Well, we can't see it on the replay, but he scraped his right toe going into the hurdle step, the toe that's actually got a piece of plaster around it, and then hits it forward, so he struggled to get the dive around.
66.50, yes, those of you that heard that strange noise just at the start of the hurdle step, that was him dragging his feet, so to speak. And then it's going to be Ilya Zakharov at the moment. Just an unbelievable day at the office so far for the Olympic champion. Can he recover? Well, not really. It's okay, if he'd been diving like that all the way through the competition, then he wouldn't have had the problems that he's in, but this is not going to help him climb too far back up the leaderboard, I don't think.
Yeah, there's so many things going wrong. The hurdle step is back too far. When he's twisting, he's got his head down. Knees were bent in the pike.
Well, it's close to 80, so it does help, but how much, we will see.
Delivery!
Ooh, great.
Delivery!
Just in time.
Delivery!
Perfect.
Can I ask how you can afford to buy all these amazing products?
I'm bidding on madbid.com. They're an online auction site where you can get brand new products with discounts of up to 80% off retail.
So, will I be delivering a brand new car tomorrow then?
Maybe. They auction cars too.
What was that site again?
Madbid.com.
Back, Cesar Castro. Well, 67.50. We talked about that score being the good score, the par score for the prelim round, but it's got to be 70s averaged across the 6 rounds in the semi-final. Otherwise, it's going to be a struggle to make top 12. Paparounis knows it, and he's dived well. 3.5 degree of difficulty then in this 4th round. Once again, the pressure on these divers now is immense. This is such a high-quality competition, and you can see it's getting to them. The number of misses we've had in this semi-final, quite incredible. And Paparounis joins the queue, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he missed it in the prelims for 49. He might go even lower than that. Very, very short. It'd be hard to squeeze a 4 out of the judges from this. Flat feet, completely flat on the lineup. It's going to be in the 3s, maybe even 2.5s. That's a miss of the century for him.
Oh dear, 36.75. What was a very positive situation for Stefanos Paparounis has now turned very difficult indeed. Exactly the same is happening to Patrick Housting, in with 3.5 then for him in round 4. But like Paparounis, he has the degree of difficulty to save him. he just needs to hit the dives. So easy to say, isn't it, from the commentary booth. Housding then, round 4. Well, that's much more like it. The German coach up and trying to implore everybody around him to join in with the cheers.
It does help, you know. The judges, they're human, and if there's big claps and cheers, sometimes you're not quite sure that extra half a point you might give it. Slightly back, and an average dive for him. He's won 90s before on that, but 83, he needed it.
Yeah, that will help, definitely. May just get back to 14th or 13th again. It all comes down to what those around you do. Christian Ipsen, 17th place for the American. Poor dive in the last round. Can't afford another mistake. And that one just rolling over a little, but that's fine.
Yeah, technically the judges will see he did everything right. Lands well, good throw. Now quickly out, 1 twist, 2 twists. Good position there on the twist. Just there, taking the head down and the heels kicking over.
1.60 then for Ipsen.
It's a lot better than the 37 he got before.
Yes, absolutely. That's all fine. America, the most successful nation on the springboards in World Championship history. 6 gold medals to them. The only area in world diving where China have been surpassed. And then Eric de Bruin, the man on a mission. Well, he's got it in. It wasn't that convincing, but we'll pick up some decent scores for that.
Yeah, just going back, it's just a shame about his feet. You have the toes from the side. It looks like the feet are flat, but they're actually turned in towards each other. I'm wondering if he's using the split through the legs to see if he can see the water early.
64.50. I think it's just body makeup, Chris. I think that's the shape that his lower leg goes into when he goes into the pike. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, talking about Leganis, he had a little gap in his legs, and he used to see, he told me, the 3.5 through the legs, so he had that advantage over the rest of us. Always wondered why he got 10s on his dives.
Grant Nell would love a couple of those right now. Threw himself back from the board. That was going to make it difficult to get the spins right.
Yeah, he's trying to hunch over the board to get the throw, but he's lost his balance. And because of that, well, he struggled, triple, just finishing in time to push out of it.
Well, 68. It's not really where Grant now needs to be at the moment. All right, with his 4th round dive, it does look like Chin Kai and Chong have recovered their composure just in the nick of time in this semi-final. Same dive as the dive we saw earlier from Grant Nell. It's pretty good. By Chinese standards, there are errors in there, but overall, Chris, superb dive, really.
Yeah, it's going to score 20 points more than the session this morning, where it came out very early and dropped short. Squeezing, pulling in. You have to be very strong to do these in with 3.5s. It's hard to get hold of your legs and stay in tight. Almost looks like he's screaming as he's going around. But a better effort in the semi-final.
Oh yes, 86.70. Yes, the airflow across the face on the slow-mo pulls the lips away from the teeth and closes the eyes and flicks the hair up. It's very strange. Looks like you're in a wind tunnel, doesn't it?
It feels like it too.
Yeah. Kuznetsov. Rock and roll. Nervous about not getting 2 divers through, but well, he's just got to concentrate on his own game. Zakharov can worry for himself. And the leader has every chance of staying in the lead. It's, again, not his best.
I do like this dive, though. The reach up and over, the slow turn, and then into the twist. Good lockout there. Just a little bit bent knees going into the pike. Just closed off the pike a bit more. It would have looked like it was finishing higher.
Twister for 74.25. So Kuznetsov doesn't hang on to top spot. Drops to second. Sho Sakai next for Japan. Well, if he can get back from 41st position into a place in the final, which is where he was midway stage this morning in the prelims, then that will be an amazing performance. And he's absolutely determined. We do like that out.
I was looking at that. 41st, then he was 34th, then 26th, then 15th, then 6th. That was amazing, wasn't it? Because we wrote him off straight away. But you can't do that. Look at that. Tight coming out. And the knee save on the end. Just need to lock out the knees a bit more.
Teammates happy. But I don't think Sho will be too happy with that outside the 70s. So he felt he could have squeezed a couple more points there. Chong back 3.5 for the man in second place and the man chasing those 3 gold medals, and my goodness me, that must seem a long way away right now. Trials and tribulations for both Chinese divers today.
So the leader is on 318 at the moment.
That is a miss from He Chong.
Well, you wouldn't expect that, would you? Olympic champion back in 2008, missing a dive. He knows that he should keep his feet up in the air, and he's kicked his feet down. That's an elementary mistake. You wouldn't expect it from him.
A lot to deal with today, the two Chinese divers. 26 and 27 years of age now, so real veterans within the Chinese team, but clearly no stars coming through on the springboard to dislodge them from their place in the national squad.
The score's coming up very slowly. I'm still waiting for 4 more judges' scores. There they are.
Not 64.75. Great from He Chong. Castillo. His problems in the last round. He now needs to hit this one. It was a problem in the second round. He got his forward 4.5. Excellent dive from the Mexican last round. That's what has raised him to this position. And again, technical issues meaning that the diver can't go.
Yeah, they're looking at the computer. Looks like he's going to have to go over there.
Yeah, without hearing what the referee is saying, it is very difficult to hazard a guess at what the problem is. Sometimes it's obvious, it's a mechanical issue or a technical issue, but sometimes it's a bit of guesswork.
Well, it might be, he was pointing on the other side, it could be that people walking across the divider.
Oh, a re-score. So He Chong down from 64.75 to 63. That's what it was about.
Yeah, it was over a half a point from one of the judges, actually.
Well, that isn't good for He Chong. Towel down again from Yohel Castillo. This is the man that stopped himself just before he left the diving board in his prelim forward 4.5. So he knows all about international competition, and he's gone back to the start of the process. Here we go again. Reverse 3.5 somersault. Castillo cannot afford another miss in this competition. So that will do nicely.
Yeah, superb takeoff. I was watching whether his feet went over the end. He planted them perfectly there on the end of the board, in timing, not too close. He's actually moving away. That is good. Kicks out solid and reaches back. I should be in the 80s for that dive. Are they going to be kind to him?
Yes, indeed, very kind. 89.25. And after a long wait as well. That's a brilliant piece of diving from Castillo.
So looking back, he got 91 in the last round, 89 then. One to be reckoned with.
Nana of Spain. Same dive and a similar result. And that may have just guaranteed Javier Lana a place in the final.
Yeah, good takeoff yet again. Just thinks he's slightly untidy on the entry. I'm not quite sure it'll go 89 points, but it should be in the 80s. It's just not grabbing the hands enough. And that was the difference between the two reverse 3.5 somersaults.
85.75, very good stuff from the Spaniard. Those three divers without their troubles. Stefan Feck with a miss in the last round, so this inward 3.5 very important for the German diver. He goes 3-4, 3-5, 3-3, so a reasonable degree of difficulty, but cannot afford to make a mistake. Didn't get the elevation, didn't get the dive, and that is a complete miss.
Yeah, hands in, holding the head there. Where did that come from? Now, I think he just pulls his head down here on the triple, loses sight, reaches for the wrong part of the water. In fact, he was so far over, his head almost came out as his feet were going through the water.
30.60. Stefan Feck drops out of contention for the moment. Nervy semi-final here in the men's 3-metre springboard. And that won't help the mindset of Kvasha ahead of his forward 4.5. 3.8 the tariff. This could be big. And it will be pretty good. It's not where he wants it to be, but at least it's a score that will help him maintain the challenge.
Yeah, I was wondering why he tried to pike out of it, because he was low. He's going forward. Just needs to come out straight, but you see the pike there, and that just kills the rotation. Needs to stay in the tuck longer and just press the feet up above his head. I think they'll mark him down for it. They haven't.
No.
Very lucky.
There we go, 83.60. That's a result for Ilya Kvasha. He's a man that desperately needs a result. Big miss in the last round, and he has no options other than to go big for the remaining three. Otherwise, Jack Law will miss out on the final. That's more like it. That's what we saw from him in the prelims.
Yeah, I wonder if this is the comeback and just in time. Just a little on the side of the board landing, but it hasn't stopped him jumping there. Good form here. Punches the water, squeeze every part of the muscles through his body for that tight entry. Now this is a 3-3, but he's way back in 18th, last place.
79.20. Allows him to climb one position, but it's a long, tough route back for Jack Law if he wants a place in the final. Chinkai continues to lead, 8.3 points up on Evgeny Kuznetsov. Castillo has done himself a few favours after that round. Herchong continues to look a little shaky at the moment. But Spain comfortably inside the top 12. Both of the Ukraine divers there as well. Housding back in business. And the Olympic champion still flapping away in 12th position. But Law and Feck, unfortunately, letting themselves down with mistakes. They're out of it at the moment. Against in your picture, the legendary divers in springboard diving from the USA.
Yeah, he's also going to be one of the judges in the high diving competition that we'll see at the back end of these championships.
Konstantin Blaha, that's the weakest of his dives so far. He's been brilliant up to that point, and it's 3.0 as well, so he's going to be down low with the score here.
He's got he's got 3 dives at 3.0, and he really couldn't afford to let that wash over. As we said, he was doing well. Got to control these dives.
63 marks, that may not do him too much harm. Yes, Greg, one of the judges on the high dive. They've been at a briefing session this morning over at the high dive venue. Just checking things out. They've got a rather original idea for the draw for the high dive, which will happen not on Eurosport, but later on today. We'll tell you about that in a second. Covers off, gets it through nicely, so decent twister there.
Yeah, very fast throw, moving well. He's not struggling at all. Just a little untidy. Just there, the feet crossing over, but they're back together again for the entry.
So they're going to town on the high diving, and they're going to actually dive for their draw number.
They're going to put some numbers on the bottom of the pool, upside down, so you can't see what they are. And for the divers to find their placings in the order they're going to dive off the 10 metre, do a proper dive, go down, pick up one of the scores, and see, you know, whether it's number 6 or number 7. That's how they're going to determine the draw for the competition. Good idea.
Nice bit of theatre and a bit of theatre now. This is a big twister for Zakharov. Oh no, he's in all sorts of bother, and Ilya Zakharov at the moment is diving himself out of this competition.
He's trying to do these dives without a good hurdle step. He's leaning forward, he's struggling, feet crossed over, no room to get the entry. He just sort of twists into the water. So very low, he's not even jumped up as far as the 5 metre. I don't know how he made that dive.
He's lost all his confidence at the moment. That degree of difficulty supporting the score into the 70s. But all it's going to take is for someone around him to nail their last 2 rounds, and Zakharov will be gone. 3.0 dive then for Cesar Castro. And he continues to tick along.
They're quite open in that pike. I think maybe he's just pulling with the shoulders here too much. Takes a long time to get into the pike. Big gap there. Chin up in the air. A relatively fine entry.
Score-wise though, 72. That's fine for the Brazilian. Miss in the last round, and a big one as well from Stefanos Paparonis. Unfortunately for everybody in this competition, the misses have been spread around. So everybody that you see coming through still has some sort of chance if they can just put it together. Inward then, 2.5 for Stefanos, one of his easier dives. That's good, and Paparonis will come out to dive his forward 4.5 in the last round, so it is looking good for the Greek diver.
Yeah, he needed this dive. He was in 4th at one point, dropped back 10 places when he missed the previous reverse 3.5. Steady though is inward, and that's 72 points. That's better than the prelims.
That'll do, so he knows if he can get up towards the 100 points with his final dive, that he could be in business. He dives so much at these major championships. It's all quite routine through these stages, but he struggled today. And that's better from Patrick.
Yeah, that's going to score well. This is high-scoring dive in the prelims. Went 89 points. Very easy takeoff. Now he's in timing. He feels high. He spots it well. He reaches back. He's got that time to delay the kick and then the reach back. So that is the right way to kick out. And then punching for the water, squeezes his ears.
84 marks, 2 good rounds for Patrick Housting, has recovered the situation. And there's the reaction from the diver to the coach. He thought it was sweet. Christian Ipsen, same dive then from the American. Needs everything he can get here, Ipsen. And it's okay.
He was very lucky there. I thought he was going to go short of vertical as he's pushed his hips forward. Landing here, he doesn't feel comfortable. And he just had that little scoot forward, delays the tuck. Well, he's arched his back. He's done the right thing to pull the dive around. He's see that huge arch in the back. That stops him from going flat on his back.
Reganis knows that that was lucky, but he'll take it. 77 points for the American. De Bruyne, 16th position for the Dutchman. One massive score in the prelims, and that really supported everything else he did. Unfortunately, that dive hasn't worked for him in the semis, so he's got to try and find a way through.
Ouch.
What's going to happen with those? And he was right on the edge.
Yeah, out of timing completely on the board. The board comes up against his feet, and you see the whole board shudder as he lands on it. And then from here, he did a great thing. He holds onto the pipe for a long time. He was going to go short of vertical. That's probably the best he could have done off that poor takeoff. That's the assistant official, and they mark off each dive that is put up correctly.
2 forward 4.5s to come, back to back. One from Grant Nell, one from the 2007 world champion Chin Kai. Once again, Nell needs this dive. Just about got there. The legs weren't great as he went through the water, but Brittany Broban had a disappointing championships by her standards, cheering him on.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. When you land on the end of the diving board, there's a feeling. And if you're going forwards for a 4.5, you have to feel the weight over your toes. He felt more with his weight on his heels, and that one just made the dive a little bit sluggish. Hard to see, but that's what he felt.
But again, the degree of difficulty just allows that score to stay in the 70s and maybe even sometimes the 80s. We'll see what Chin Kai makes of the same dive now. It's more like it. You saw the amount of time that he had as he came out of that last somersault.
Yeah, you see he goes from the tuck to the pike. A lot of dive here. First somersault, second somersault, third somersault. Now he's thinking about the out pike and has a look at the water. Just a little short of vertical. 3.8. It's not the hardest dive in the world. Now, if there's nobody that can do it at the moment, but if you do a reverse 3.5 pike, then you'll be at a 4.6.
Wow. Not far off, I'm sure. 91.20. We've got a diver into the 90s. Chin Kai is just about underlined his place in the final. Kuznetsov has maintained the challenge, but I still contend the fact that he is not as sharp as he can be. Kuznetsov has a glorious opportunity for a medal in tomorrow's final. Dmitry Sotin in the blue, just arriving to cast his eye over proceedings.
Yeah, slightly forward, a little low finishing, but steady on the entry. Looking, he needed 91 points to catch Kunchai.
Yeah, that wasn't going to happen, but 74.80 is solid from Kuznetsov, so he's heading to the final. Shosakai, next up for Japan. Very difficult when you're diving in the semi-final in amongst big-name divers who already have a reputation with the judges. This feels like you have to work that little bit harder. Finishes with 2 good tariff dives, though. And that is a miss, I'm afraid, for Shaw.
Yeah, still unsteady on the board. Another diver just stamps the board, a little on the corner, but using the experience to kick up. Finished 13th in the semi-finals 2 years ago, so didn't go through. Looking to improve on that.
63 marks for Sho Sakai. As we've already said, you've got to average 70 if you're going to get through in this competition. Chong, another big dive with the forward 4.5.
He's improving. Was back in 11th. Qualified in 6th.
He's got these 2 huge rounds to finish. 3.8 then the twister for 3.9. Unbelievable strength to get that dive through.
He had to use strength as well. His knees started to buckle as he landed on the end of the diving board. There, it nearly buckled because he didn't extend through the legs. And you noticed he only did a small pike out. Normally it's a huge pike out to stop the rotation. And he's got 95 points.
What a save. What a save. Best score of the day then goes to Hechong, the defending champion. Stakes gradually being raised. Yeah, hasn't Yael Castillo done well to recover from his poor start in this semi-final? Mexican needs to keep it going though. This is a relatively straightforward dive for him. It is the foundation for the big twister that we see from him in the last round, the same dive as we'll see from Hechong. That's okay, but again, not really where he wants to be.
Yeah, he flattened his feet as he went through the water. Jump, pike, good pike position, looks at the board, and then the feet flatten. Where did that come from? Dive was going really well there. I'm sure a few judges will pick on that. 64.5 in the prelims. Probably gone just a little bit more, or just slightly more, 67 points in the semis.
Yeah, still shouldn't be a problem for him though to go top 12 with the big tariff in the last round. In with 3.5 then. We'll have Ilana, who at the moment has had no dramas at all. Just been steady as you like. And unfortunately, that is the first bit of drama. There's a miss from Ilana.
Just needs to work on reactions. Technique's good, spinning fast, just reacts slowly on the out, and because of that, doesn't get the entry. You've got to be so quick, see the water and just snap out of it.
6s, 5.5s for 61. And that has dropped him back down to 9. Kicking himself after that. In fact, was kicking himself after the last round. Complete miss. Probably no way back for the German. And not after that, I'm afraid.
Again, he landed back from the end of the diving board. He thought he got the height, but he's still short of about half a metre. Gets the reach back, spinning fast, but a little lower kicking out. So poor takeoff. That's a disastrous finish for him.
Yeah, 52.50. Stefan Feck just one round away from exiting this competition. So Germany will have to turn their attentions once again to Patrick Housding. 2 more to come. Ilya Kvasha, followed by Jack Law. Kvasha a bit up and down in this semi-final. He's in 9th at the moment. That's okay. Lost his legs as he went through the water, but overall that's a good dive.
Yeah, just a little slow. You can see his eyes looking at the end of the board. Gets there in the end. I prefer a back turn off that just spins a little faster than that.
63. Gosh, that won't help. And this man, Chris, well, it's got to be 90s, really.
Well, he was 18 points out of 12th after his last dive. At the moment, we need to go something like 85, 90 points to give him a shot of getting in the top 12.
It is a tough old sport, is diving. Jack Law came through the prelims as the leader. He beat everybody with a brilliant score of 471. He's going to struggle to get into the final.
Yeah, you can see he's trying. It's just the arch. He didn't need to do that on the end. And that kept him from going 85 points.
75-25, 10 points away from the score he needed to set a foundation for the final round, because that's where we're going next. The sixth and final round. Shinkai and Hejong recover the situation for 1 and 2. Kuznetsov in third, then it's Castillo and Nell and Housden. That's your top 6, but it's the second page in terms of the semi-final that is all important. Gorshkovazov, Blaha still diving brilliantly. Ilana in 9th, and it's Kvasha, Zakharov and Sakai. And we're going to have a very tight finish to this competition. Can any of this third page get back in touch? That gives you an idea of the sort of scoring that they need to do so. Men's 3-metre springboard prelims and semi-final have been drama all the way. It's not been the highest quality diving in this semi-final. There have been a lot of misses. That's also kept things exciting. And if you're going to hit a dive, Chris, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, it's your last chance, and I'm predicting now, because of the poor misses, you may just only need 415 to get into the top 12.
Well, that's a little bit better from Blaha than we saw in the prelims on that dive. That should be enough to book him a place in the final, and from the Austrians' point of view, that is a very good result indeed.
Yeah, he was in 8th place. He had 358.
Oh yes, 79.90, 438.50. Take a bow, Konstantin Blaha. Superb effort from the Austrian. Who will join him? Gorshkovazov then. 7th place. Finishes on this back twister for 3.3, so not as high a tariff as quite a few of the other divers in this last round.
Just need 65 points to go ahead of Blaha.
Yeah, that's fine from Gorshkovazov, and that really should be a place in the final as well.
Yeah, he's safe. This is really a warm-up for the final, isn't it? They'll tweak their dives, they'll remember the things that they lost points on and try to get it right.
433.95 we can see. And that is confirmed. So 70.95 for the last round. Thumbs up for Alexander. It all looks good. Now then, the pressure begins. Forward 4.5 for Ilya Zakharov in 11th position. If he hits it, he's home. If he misses, it's going to go into a lottery for the closing dives. Laboured off the board, he's let it go over. He's going to have to rely on the judges and this degree of difficulty to get him home.
Well, he spins very fast. It was just all about the out. He misses it on that quad. It doesn't look at the water in the right place. Pushes his hands under him rather than reaching forward, and the dive's kicked over. You see the splash come up here off the top of his shoulders. Well, it was a high degree of difficulty. I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Oh, no. Wow. So 4:14.20 is his final score after that dive, and Zakharov's progress, the Olympic champion's progress into the final, is now in the balance. So Castro to finish his programme for Brazil in 14th position at the moment. Veteran of this competition. And the 30-year-old, well, giving it his very best, but at 3.0, it's really tough for him to get a score that will hurt anyone else.
Yeah, you need 8 just to get 70 points on this dive. And he needs to go 77 to go ahead of Zakharov. I don't think it'll be worth that. Neat dive to finish.
Good try. 72 for 409, so everybody over the 400 mark. But I think that's a wave goodbye from the Brazilian. 4.5 now for Paparounis. I'll tell you, we'll be watching this one closely. It will be Ilya Zakharov. 15th position at the moment for Paparounis. 4:14.20, that overall total from Zakharov that he's going to be aiming at. He can do it.
Yeah, he has to go for 80 points to have any chance.
Oh, sensational effort. A little bit splashy on the entry.
Well, it'll be in the 400s. It's how close he is to that 414 points. Stamped the board a fraction, didn't grab the hands, but from the side the judges will see the vertical entry.
And there we go, 77.90 for 414.50. 0.3 in it. And Zakharov is in real trouble now. Great dive from Paparounis to finish. Harsding. Twister at 3.7. And, well, he was short on that. That's in the lap of the gods.
Yeah, another landing back from the end of the diving board. Here he pulls with his shoulders right over the top of the board. We have seen diver hit the board already, but then he moves away and rolls the entry. He can do that dive much better. He missed it in the prelim, just scored 60-odd points.
No,
okay.
Good score. Good score. Patrick Hausding is home. He takes over in top spot. That pushes Zakharov down to 5th and counting. Ibsen then with his twister. As Greg Louganis watches on. 13th at the moment, but he can get home. Very conscious of the landing on the end of the board, but he got it right and it catapulted him into the air.
Yeah, good jump up in the air. Excellent landing. He feels comfortable here. Very, very fast twist. Excellent form. Pikes down at board level. And just a fraction apart. That's the only thing that I really saw that was wrong. Good looking dive for his final dive.
And they are all taking a swipe at Zakharov. Ibsen pushes him down even further. De Bruin, 17th position, unlikely qualifier for the final. Big news is that Zakharov missed his forward 4.5. And now is in some considerable doubt about qualification. Twister to finish then for Yorick. No, that wasn't good, but let's be honest, overall he's had a good day.
Yeah, just pushing 70 points, but it wasn't enough. One dive at 63. Did well though, much better than 2 years ago when he was 37th. And he qualified here for the semis in 11th, but I think that's the last dive we'll see for today.
Yes, that's all done and dusted, I'm afraid, for Yorick. Finishes below 400. Twister at 3.4, but a different type from the 25-year-old Australian. Should be comfortable qualification for him.
I like this dive. Reverse 1.5 somersaults, 3.5 twists.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Gets the twists away early. That will be comfortable for Grant. He's into the final.
Yeah, it was better in the prelim. Just too much pull at the start. Fraction too much rotation here on the end. But again, he's got a beautiful twist, very fast.
Yeah, that's good. He's home and dry, so I can confirm. Hausding, Nell and Blaha. So Germany, Austria and Australia all confirmed as qualified. Shinkai about to do exactly the same, I'm sure. Again, a twister. A lot of twisters in the last round. Divers very comfortable with these. And that's fine from Shinkai. So the 2007 world champion is through to the final.
Yeah, he's opted to do just 1.5 twists, steady dive for the semi-finals. Pulls forward, looks at the board, sees the water. Good final dive to finish. Went 91 points in the previous round. Not quite sure I'll go that high. But comfortably He'll probably be in the lead at the end.
Yes, and his overall score is far superior to the prelim round. Chinkai gradually getting things sorted out. There's minute adjustments coming into play. Kuznetsov to finish with his forward 4.5. Again, another man that has been below par, but he's doing certainly enough. Should be fine for the final.
30 points will get him through into the final.
Those are 30 points plus right there.
Well, made it look really easy. We've seen some 4.5 struggle. No problem there. Throw into the tuck. Now he's pulling these apart to increase the rotation. Looks at the water, punches for it. And a steady end. There's the hand grab. Feels the water. Gets that slap or that tearing sound going through the water. Great dive.
61.2 more points than he really needed. But Kuznetsov making certain of the situation. So Russia have representation in the final. Unfortunately, from Russia's point of view, that performance from Kuznetsov pushes Zakharov down to 9th now. Sakai to finish for Japan. That's a shame. Toes over the end, and that really affected the twisting part of the dive. Never looked comfortable in the air.
But 341 just really depends on that score. If he goes 70 odd points, then he'll be fine. 74, 75 points.
Oh, he's got it. 74.25 for 416.1, and Sho Sakai is on his way to the final. That's a super dive. Sakharov teetering on the brink now, the Olympic champion down in 10th. And we still have another 6 divers to come. He Chong then to finish the toughest dive in the competition. We've seen it from other divers, this complex twister. 3.9.
101 points will put him in the lead.
It's a good try, but it's not the finish he was looking for. But he'll be fine.
Yeah, this is a dive you can go well over 100 points, but back from the end, throwing down at the water, gets the triple twist, but it's a struggle. His feet come apart a little bit as he's squaring out to reach for the entry.
Nothing but blue sky. That shows you how high he went. 89.70. It's a good score. Great overall tally at 483, but 10 points off Chinkai for the defending champion. Castillo got himself in trouble, but repaired it nicely. Same dive from the Mexican to finish. Should be comfortable qualification. And it will be beautiful stuff to finish. That could be big on the score.
That was a beautiful dive, really high. The board throws him up in the air, out at the right time. There's the triple twist, just a small wobble there. But a great lineup. Well, you know, you can get 100 points, as I said earlier on this dive. Just a little wobble there, the chin down. Apart from that, it was a great dive.
Well, not far off, 95.55. A little reminder to the rest of the field that Castillo is a medal contender. That pushes the Olympic champion down to 12th place. So one more diver from our final 4 to beat that score of 414.2. Zakharov is gone. And Garcia, the man to do it. Again, just a little close with the toes as he came past the board. But that's fine.
As the divers are trying hard now, some of the dives are getting very close. As we said, we saw one accident in the prelim. He's fine though.
He's through.
Easy.
Javier Lana, not been diving a lot internationally recently, but in good nick here in Barcelona. That'll keep the Spanish fans happy for tomorrow's 3-metre individual final. The big news here today, though, is that Ilya Zakharov, the Olympic champion, is out of this competition. Still can't get that World Championship gold. It's not been great for this man, Stefan Feck, either. Just Hausding going through for Germany.
Yeah, struggled all the way. Stamps the board, back from the end, head down in the wrong place, pulls around. He got there for the entry, but it's a hard-looking dive.
16th position with 2 to go. That will mean Stefan Feck will finish in last place, assuming, of course, that Kvasha and Law make their dives. Kvasha to join Gorshkovasov in the final. It's not a done deal for Ilya by any means. That will have closed it there. Good effort from Ilya Kvasha, but again, he and Gorshkovasov are going to have to tighten things up for the final tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Again, it's just the feet that become a problem. Apart and then together again. Didn't grab his hands on the entry, didn't pick that up on the first dive, only saw it on the replay. Just about squeaked through.
Another position. That leaves Sho Sakai in 12th. 4:16.10 to beat for Jack Law. Any chance at all?
85 points will do it.
Here we go then. It's a big finish. It is the forward 4.5, but he needs 85 plus. Does Jack Law? Oh, unlucky. Just short. For some reason, he didn't get out and into the lineup.
In the prelim, he went 85.5. That would have been enough. But here he stamps the board, leans forwards, cut off his height, and doesn't hang on to the tuck long enough. Comes out in a pike position and drops short of vertical. Need to just kick out straight, and he's just about 10 points short.
That is a tough one to take. To come through as the winner of the prelim competition, beating a lot of massive names on the way, and then not qualify through from the semi-finals is a tricky one. But Jack Law, unfortunately, falling foul of that. Chin Kai and He Chong keeping that Chinese challenge strong. They are through with Kuznetsov, Castillo, Housing and Nell. That's your top 6. And then we go through to the next page in reverse order. Sho Sakai makes it in. He joins Kvasha, Ibsen, Gorshkovasov, Ilyana and Blaha. Well done to Konstantin Blaha. We've always followed him on Eurosport, said what a tidy diver he is, and now he's in a World Championship final on the 3-metre springboard. And here are the guys that miss out, and that's big. Stefan Feck, Jack Law and Ilya Zakharov. None of them get in, and Paparounis, the unluckiest man on the day, just missing out by a fraction. Well, it's all happening here in Barcelona, Chris.